So let's talk about call centers. What is a call center? Most large corporations in the world have call centers. They are a number that is publicly advertised, and anybody can call that number and have a conversation with a representative of the company. That's what a call center is. And so with a call center tells you what people are thinking and what they're saying. And so when you have a call center, information in the call center is very, very valuable. Why? Because the customer will tell you what is on their mind. And once you understand what is on the customer's mind, you can be proactive in terms of conducting your business. If you don't know what the customer is interested in, then you can only be reactive. And in business, it's always a better proposition to be proactive than reactive. So what happens when you have a call center? Let me try to back up here. And I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation with lots of different companies. You go to the company, you say, do you guys have a call center? Oh yeah, we got a call center. And do you know what's going on in your call center? Oh yeah, we know what's going on in our call center. What's going on in your call center? Well, we get 7,000 calls a day, and the calls last 3.5 minutes. And you say, well, gee, that's interesting. That's one interesting way to look at a call center. But what are people saying? Are they asking questions? Are they complaining? Do they need to know how to install something? Do they want to buy something else? There's a million questions that the customer can be asking. And corporations around the world have no idea what people are saying in their call center. All they know is the number of calls that they're getting and the length of the call. And that's very easy information to get. But in terms of what are they saying, that information, people are convinced that it's too expensive or you can't get that information. And that's simply not true. So one day we were talking to a telephone company. Here is the conversations the telephone company was having. On the right-hand side is text. And what is this text? This is what was gathered from the conversation. Now, if you were to read this, you would find all kinds of things. You would find people having trouble with their telephone equipment. You would find people that want to have new telephone equipment. You would find people that don't have their TV working if it's attached to the telephone. There's all kinds of things in here. Number one. Number two, this telephone company is a large telephone company, worldwide telephone company, and they get around 75,000 of these phone calls a day. And so when we went and talked to these people, we said, do you guys have a call center? Yes, we do. Do you know what's going on in your call center? And the answer was, no, we don't. Why don't you know? Why don't you know what's going on in your call center? Well, Bill, we get 75,000 a day. We can't, that's too many. We can't do anything with our information in our call center. And so we said, well, guess what? We know how to get information out of your call center. Let us show you how you can take a call center and get information out of it. So what we did was we took the textual information, the conversation off over here, we put it through Textual ETL, and we created a database. After we created the database, we then visualized the database. And here's what we came up with in the visualization. Now, first off, notice that this is one page. This is not 200 pages. This is not 30 pages. This is one page, number one. Now, over here on the left-hand side is the general characterization of the call. What were people talking about? Were they complaining? Were they wanting to install something? Were they wanting to buy something? What were they talking about? And so over here on the top left-hand side, you find that this information of what are people talking about, very valuable information on its own. Another piece of valuable information is over here on the bottom right-hand side. And what we have on the bottom right-hand side is information about the 24 hours of the day that people are calling in. And as you would expect, at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning, not many people are calling in from the call center. But at 9 o'clock in the morning to 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when most people call in. And so this tells you through the 24 hours of the day when people are calling. Now, this particular diagram was done in something called Tableau. I'm sure you've heard of Tableau. And what you can do in Tableau is you can drill down. You can say, okay, at 9 o'clock in the morning, when it comes to the category of complaints, I hover over at 9 o'clock in the morning, the little colored box that represents complaints. And then I now say, okay, here are the complaints that occurred at 9 o'clock in the morning. And at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I can look at what people wanted to install. So this is a very concise way of telling throughout the day what people are interested in. Now, on top of it, in the middle here, is something that is the same information, but presented differently. Instead of looking at it as the 24 hours of the day, we look at it from the standpoint of the days of the week. Here is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and here is the call pattern on the days of the week. Now, when you look at Tuesday, Tuesday's a little bit different. So why was Tuesday different? Tuesday was different because of the fact that we had a national holiday that occurred on a Tuesday. That's why we get a strange thing there. Then on top of that is the monthly analysis. Is there a pattern throughout the month of the number of calls coming in? And indeed, we find out that in the first week of the month, there's very little activity. But as we get to the 16th of the month, that's when the most number of calls come in. So this tells us about the call pattern. This tells us about what's going on in the call. And then in the center is the most valuable information of all. This tells us what people are talking about. Now, for this particular telephone company, STB is what it stands for setup box. And what a setup box is the box that the telephone company installs in a house and allows them to control what television shows they work on. And so we can look at the size of the box and the color of the box in order to tell us what people have been talking about. So some of the things they've been talking about is something is not working. Then we have the video. Then we had a question about reboots. Then we have a question about the menu and movies, etc., and so forth. And furthermore, in Tableau, we can sit here and hover over this information and say, okay, when people were talking about setup boxes, what were they talking about? And this is where we can drill down and find that information. Now, this is one page of visualization, and this is what management needs to see. Management won't look at the database. Management will look at a visualization that looks like this. And so when management says, well, we don't know what's going on in our call center, well, guess what? Now we can tell them what's going on in the call center in a form that is acceptable to management. That's one example.